What you doing? I'm the scene. This is Alcohol Anime, and this is not just any episode of Alcohol Anime. This is a special episode of Alcohol Anime. It's a kind of a dumb episode of Alcohol Anime, which because this is the second time I started recording it. Because the first time I realized my mic wasn't turned on, I only got about like 5 minutes. Anyways, on to it. This is also my sixth episode of Alcohol Anime. But what makes it so special is I am actually live streaming this episode on my Twitch, partly because I'm starting to stream on Twitch now, so it's kind of me just plugging myself. Also, it's partly because I'm starting to experiment more with things I can do. I thought it would be cool to go try to get a live audience in these podcasts whenever possible, especially when I do solo recordings for some of my movies. And like maybe people will jump in, even if they haven't seen the movie. Hopefully they have seen the movie. Maybe they're not even drinking. Don't know why that would be. And then they can, chat along, ask questions, all that kind of stuff if they want to. And like, I typically take up in whole hours, so it's not like I need more questions. But it would be cool. It'd just be a cool component to include. And as I keep doing this stuff and see it as my podcast grows, it's just be a really cool thing to do. And yeah, hopefully it will take off, and I'll have people joining along. Uh, but besides that, and taking care of that housekeeping stuff, I will keep posting these as regular audio podcasts, like I have been. There is a video component now to it, which is only going to be available if you watch my Twitch as it is live. But besides that, there's not going to be any other video component. It'll still be audio across all those other platforms, probably whatever you're listening to it on right now. And so, yeah, I don't really have any plan to make this a video podcast. That's why I do my little short shorts. That makes no sense. The little short videos I do, just having fun with some ideas of this podcast. That's why I do those, since there's no video aspect of it. But that's pretty much it. Let me actually get into talking about what I watched. So, first off, I watched Over the Sky. It was a new-ish film Crunchyroll added. But before I get to that, of course, like always, because it is alcohol and anime, I'm going to talk about the alcohol aspect first while I'm drinking. And it's kind of dumb, creepy, surprising, really, all that stuff. What I'm drinking is Skyy Vodka. Because the name of the movie is Over the Sky, I tried thinking, okay, what kind of drinks are sky themed, or maybe something over the top, over the sky, trying to put two to two together. I couldn't think of anything. No, I was top of my head. I could have looked up something, but that seems less fun, even though I've done it for other stuff. So, what I eventually remembered was Skyy Vodka is a thing. And I haven't had Skyy Vodka in a long time. I'm pretty sure it was one of the first vodkas I ever tried, and I remember it being okay. It's a lot cheaper than I remember, which is fine too. But the main reason I remember Skyy Vodka existed at all in the first place is because Spotify ads reminded me it was a thing. Just while I'm listening, ads pop up and it's like, hey, remember that Skyy Vodka exists? It's from San Francisco and shit. And you're like, oh yeah, I guess, sure. And then I remembered I was going to do this. I was going to watch Over the Sky in the recording. And I was like, oh no, technology. How dare you? Of course you're stealing my privacy. It's like it knew. It knew that I was going to watch Over the Sky because I had it in my queue on Crunchyroll on my phone, which are the same place I listen to Spotify. And it put two to two together, and then I was like, hey, you also do a podcast about drinking alcohol, and then it was just like, boom, Skyy Vodka, here you go, you're welcome. And I was like, shit, you got me again, advertisements, you knew exactly what I was needing. But hey, maybe it's because I thought of Skyy vodka that I didn't think of anything else. Maybe I could have thought of some cool drink, um, but no. Now I'm stuck with Skyy with 2Y vodka. And here's the surprising part. I don't really drink vodka that much, but what I definitely don't drink much is coffee. So I went to the liquor store looking for just to get a regular kind of small bottle of Skyy vodka because like I only need it for the podcast or watch this movie, do the podcast. That's like 2.5 hours. Movie only an hour and a half long. Usually the podcast. I was like, I get a small bottle, but then I go and because I am me, when I see cheap and stupid sounding stuff, I have to get it. So I got Skyy Infusions, born in San Francisco, cold brew coffee, vodka infused with natural flavors. Yeah, I got coffee vodka. And I don't know what I was thinking. But how dumb is that? Coffee, when I think about it, maybe I missed it, but I was hoping really hard I would see coffee in this movie at some point, and I just never did. So that's a little disappointing. That way I'll at least justify why I got coffee vodka. But it didn't. At least the Skyy part exists. It's a very, I don't know. It's like I'm really grasping at straws on trying to get creative with these names. Because that was the only thing connecting this drink to Skyy, and I did no other work. Man, maybe I should have looked up something. But it was kind of a last minute plan to do this movie for this next podcast. Because I have other plans, but I'm not saying them yet. But it definitely had to do with a movie that I just saw in theaters. You know, you can probably guess. But yeah. And actually, the most surprising part, and the thing that's disappointed me the most, is it's actually pretty good. It was only $10. It sounds stupid. I never would have thought I would drink coffee vodka. So what I did, put it over ice, then I mixed it with some club soda that is actually left over from the couple of bottles I bought for the previous podcast when I watched Words Bubble Up like Soda Pop. It's still left over in that. Surprisingly, still carbonated. That's been weeks. I don't know why it's still good, but apparently it does. And yeah, it's actually really good. It tastes like coffee flavoring, whatever that would mean. And it doesn't taste like vodka at all. Maybe it's the club soda that cancels that out. But wow, is it good. I don't think it's going to be good for my stomach, though. I already drank for an hour and a half worth of it. And my tummy's a little upset. I don't know if that's because I also was drinking beer before I started watching it. And food probably didn't agree with spicy food. So we'll see how that goes. See if I make it through this whole hour. But I've had coffee flavored alcohol before. When I was in Kalinga, I've had coffee wine, which is surprisingly good too. But yeah, I'm just not a coffee person. I prefer tea. I'm going to drink any kind of hot drink, it will be tea. I like oolong tea. I even have a special Tomie mug. That's really cool. If you could actually see my live stream, you would see it in the background. I also use it for sake, which maybe not what it was meant for. But yeah, Skyy's coffee vodka actually is good. It's so surprising. It has nothing to do with Over the Skyy at all. Like vodka nor coffee really had anything to do with it. There's not really any alcohol in it at all. You know, now that I think back, I don't know if I remember seeing anyone drink anything this entire time. I'm sure there was something. Maybe. This seems impossible that they would not show anyone just drinking something, not even a background character. I don't know. It was weird. But I guess that's pretty much it for the alcohol portion. Like, not creative. I could think of something, like, it was something over the Skyy. Something airy. Not airy. Something light. Not too heavy. Man, I don't know. I hate to say it, but vodka might be a good choice for it, especially this. It's a very light drink. Uh, I keep thinking like Head in the Clouds. Really, if I'm going over the sky, it's probably not something I'm drinking, but something maybe I inhale, maybe. So I don't know if drinking was the best thing for this, but because this is not yet marijuana and manga, like has been proposed before in a previous podcast. Uh, yeah, none of that yet. We're just sticking with some good old drinking. So yeah, that's it for alcohol. Otherwise, I'm just gonna keep rambling on about whatever random stuff. Let's actually talk about the movie. Let me give you some information about it. I already mentioned a little bit about when it came out. So, Over Sky originally premiered in Japan, at least, in November 2020. I don't know how I never heard anything about it. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was keeping up with movie news. Maybe it's because it was the middle of pandemic and I was stuck at home. I wasn't even expecting any new movies to come out at all. But yeah, amidst all that, it still came out, and I don't know, I guess nobody heard about it. And then Crunchyroll added it to their catalog on October 21st, 2021, which is a couple of weeks before I recorded this. And it is interesting. I'm trying to think if it would be even possible to give like a quick spoiler-free review. I guess I'll give my initial opinions on it. It seemed really fast-paced, a lot of back and forth, and I don't know, it had some cool moments in it, but overall it was like, what's going on? It seemed like every moment that happened was just like, oh, okay, this happened. And then it'll go back and forth. It's like, it seemed like it was just like, I don't know, what do you call it when you're treading? It's like they were just treading water, and it's like trying to figure out, thinking they were going to go somewhere, and then just not really go anywhere. It's not bad. The animation is good. Music is good. There's a weird part in it that I'll get to later. But yeah, it was overall an alright movie. It was about an hour and a half long, so not very long. Now, I think what would have taken it from being alright is actually if they made it longer. Give it another half hour. It could have really make these moments seem like I don't know. It's weird to call it fast paced. It's kind of like just like a slideshow, kind of like, okay, here's a moment, here's a moment, here's a moment, here's the next moment, and it's like the flow of it was weird, I guess is what I'm trying to say. But it was still alright. I feel like if they would have taken it, did 2 hours of it, gave it another half hour, could really flesh out some of the stuff that I'm feeling iffy about that I'm about to talk about in a bit. But I do want to read. It's stupid. You could read it yourself if you go to Crunchyroll. But I'm going to read the summary off of Crunchyroll's website, but just because it's almost ridiculous. It says, Mio is a girl in high school who slacks off. She and her childhood friend Artha and best friend Madoka spend their after-school days in Ikebukuro hanging out. One day, Madoka tells Mio that she loves Artha, and Mio realizes that she loves Artha too. But she's scared of the relationship falling apart and lies, saying she'll help them. Mio deliberately acts coldly to Artha, and they get into a fight. She decides to work things out with Artha, but gets into a car accident on her way to meet him. She wakes up in a mysterious world. It's Ikebukuro, she knows, but something's different. Okay, so this is where it's going to start getting spoilery, because surprisingly enough, that's not as spoilery as it would seem. You read it, it's long. It's a long little preview, snippet, summary to try to tell people. But that actually is the very beginning. Pretty much all takes place. And this is one of the things that I getting on about. It's like, you could spend at least half an hour making this more like drama, make it more fleshed out, and it goes by so fast. Surprisingly, it takes 15 whole minutes. It seems like it takes like 5 minutes for this to happen, and I don't know, it could easily be extended, and then it would have made a little more sense. But pretty much what happens in these 15 minutes is exactly what it says. But the first 5 minutes, it shows them, okay, they're kind of friends. Then 5 minutes in is when Artha, the male friend, potential love interest, actually says the name of the movie. Is like, okay, that was quick. Sure, just gonna plug that in there. Right, it's just him and Artha talking about what is in between the sky and space. And it's like, is that the horizon? Is that something else? And he's like, oh, that's called Over the Sky. I hope that's not the actual translation. I hope they translated it wrong, because that's such a lame name. What, Over the Sky, that's it? And they try to make it seem like that was a cool thing to say. That's why I'm hoping the translation isn't right. That makes no sense. That sounds so dumb. Over the Sky, that's it. Horizon's much cooler. Yeah, it's a basic word, but you couldn't have thought of something cooler. I don't know. I'm sure where the Japanese word for it is a lot cooler than just Over the Sky. Because maybe English just made it sound like. But anyways, besides that, it's just them being friends. And then literally in like, if they were, I don't even know if they actually spoke or like there's actually sound or anything, because it's literally happens like half a minute. It's kind of just like Madoka tells Mio, she's like, are you and Artha dating? And Mio's like, no, we're just kind of childhood friends, I guess. And she's like, okay, well, I'm gonna take a shot at it then. And then Mio's like, the fuck? Now I like him because you want him. Because drama. Except for that drama doesn't last at all, because Mio's like, never mind. I'll just let you have him. I don't want to bother. And then Mio and Artha hang out. She kind of starts acting coldly. This is pretty much verbatim exactly what the summary said, except for it's so much short. This is the beginning. And it's like, it made it sound like this was going to be the main plot of the story. They just like get it out of the way right away. And it's like, okay. And literally, Madoka, even though it seemed like she was going to be a big part of the drama and whatever, she is just a little innocent friend, just like trying to do whatever. It's not like she tried to instigate anything. She's also in the movie, the entire movie, maybe a full 2 minutes. Like, she doesn't matter at all. She was literally there to set up this one little spark of a question, Mio questioning her feelings for Artha. And then she was just gone for the rest of the movie until she shows up back at the very end. And it's just like, what was the point? Like, at least you think she would show up and have some kind of concern, or be part of the plot in some other way. Nope. So yeah, then the rest of the summary, which I forget, is Mio eventually realizes, this is still all before the 15 minutes. 15 minutes is whenever, pretty much, when she gets to the new world it mentioned, or the weird world. And somewhere around there at least. But yeah, then Mio realizes, after being cold to him for like maybe a day, that Artha kind of doesn't know what's up. She regrets kind of being like that to him. Tries to go see him, gets hit by a car, and then that's the summary. It doesn't look like she dies right away. The only thing in this 15 minutes that isn't included in the summary is that they go and see a psychic. And this is, I guess, actually what sets up the plot, which is weird. They see the psychic does like a tarot card reading, and Arta's actually the one that starts freaking out, which was weird. I was like, okay, isn't this movie about Mio? But no, Mio's just like, okay, whatever, sure. And then Artha freaks out. He starts seeing these little ghost orbs, which now that I think back to the movie, that's the only time you see them is at this very beginning part. They never really make it important, unless they're supposed to represent something else later on. I don't really know what else they're supposed to be. Because I don't remember them actually ever showing up again. What the? That's just more of there's fleshing out to do of this movie that they never really bothered to deal with. Anyways, Artha runs out. Mio kind of drags Mio behind him, and then that was kind of when Mio was mean to Artha. And yeah, that was the first 15 minutes. That was the summary. The rest of it is Mio has an outer body experience. At first, she seems fine. She's like, oh, that was weird. Huh, what's going on? Tries going to school again, and Artha's not speaking to her. It's like, huh, okay, nobody's speaking to her. Goes through the whole day in a classroom, rides a train, sitting next to Artha, still not responding. And then all of a sudden she shoots up in the sky. Or I guess shoots up over the sky. Because of the name of the movie. I'm pretty sure maybe the reference or mentioning over the sky probably doesn't even pop up again. Or maybe one more time at the end if I can think of it. Yeah, it pops up again at the end. But I think throughout the whole movie, it doesn't really pop up again. I don't know. And an important thing I forgot to mention is Mio has a fish named Keyki, Kii. It dies right before Mio leaves to go talk to Artha before she gets hit by a car. And I just need to bring that up because that's surprisingly important. I thought it was just going to be like some symbolism, like, oh, here's the fish she cared about and it died, so it's just foreshadowing that she might die. And she kind of does. So yeah, she's having this outer body experience. She ends up back at Ikebukuro. Kind of weird, kind of like shadowy silhouettes of people, and then randomly showing up. I don't know, maybe I just kept missing stuff, or people, if they showed them, they were so quick that I'd never noticed. But oof, her guide shows up in the form of something called Gimon. It's like a little stuffed animal thing. It looks almost like a Digimon. That's what it reminded me of. Some kind of like doggish, bearish, greenish thing. But yeah, his name was Gimon. It's guide. They try to have a little humorous thing where it had this old man voice, and then she's like, I don't like that voice, you should change it. And then he tries to get more of a typical animal voice you would see in anime and all that stuff. I was like, aw, whatever. Anyways, Gimon tries to explain where she is. She's in this place called the World Border, and that she needs to move on and let go of the human realm. Tries to get her to go through a door. It's like, ooh, Gimon's suspicious. He's just trying to kill her, get her to go to the other side and all that. And then all of a sudden, a girl pops up named Kiku. I don't know who she is, but I was trying to think, and it showed in like a little flashback for Artha, like he was scared or something, like he lost something or whatever. So my first impression of Kiku was like, that's weird. It's like, they don't remember each other, but apparently Mio and Kiku have some kind of strong connection. I was like, is this why Artha was acting weird as psychic? Because it was causing him this flashback of maybe losing a relative, like losing Kiku. Maybe it was a sister or a cousin or something special like that, and they just don't talk about it. And now what's happening to Mio is kind of similar to that, and that's why they have some connection. Anyways, Kiku stops it, tries to explain to Gimon that she's not supposed to be here and that they need to help her. And then this is where it's kind of just like, not really even an adventure story. There's so much back and forth from here on. So, I don't want to just go through the stories back to back to back just because you could just watch the story. But I do, it's important to know the weirdness of the story for me to tell you what's going on. So, the bad guy named Requiem shows up. They try to run away from him for this bit, and Kiku eventually says, "Oh, Mio needs to go to this place called Forgotten Things Counter. Tell them that she forgot something to do something, and they'll help her go back home." And she does that, and ironically, the Forgotten Things Counter. It's not to go get the things or do the things that you forgot, because she gets there, tells him, and then he's like, okay, what are you forgetting? She's like, It's like, of course, it's a forgotten things counter. People are going to come up to you if you forgot things. It's like, of course they're not going to remember. But the whole point is you have to be able to remember what you forgot to do in order to go back. And I was like, I guess that makes sense. And I don't know, it makes no sense. And also weird things that I don't know how it explains anything at all. But Mio has her phone and gives Artha a call, and it actually goes through. But Mio's actually laying in a bed at that exact same moment, in a hospital bed, while Artha answers, and he's like, the fuck? And I get it. It's to help him get moving to try to help her. But it's like, that's weird that it would work. I guess, I don't know, it's kind of like a visualization thing, I guess. Like, you know how phones work, so you kind of use that as like a tool. I mean, yeah, that's what a phone is anyways. You use that as like a visualization to know how to communicate with someone on the other side. So this is what sets Artha in motion. He goes back to the psychic. Turns out, an actual twist, the psychic's his aunt. It turns out Artha's family is psychics, people that deal with not necessarily supernatural stuff. They can do like psychic stuff, astral project, all that kind of stuff. And that, it kind of explains why he was able to pick up and talk to Mio. Okay. I mean, you think if it was like that, he could do it without the cell phone. But because of the generation and the times nowadays, I guess you just can use electronics to do stuff like that. I mean, yeah. No, it makes sense. When you see ghost hunting shows and stuff like that, they use electronics on that stuff. And you see that ghosts can try and use them. So I guess it's the same thing with a cell phone. Yeah, I guess so. Even though technically, Mio isn't even a ghost either, so it still doesn't make sense. I don't know. I'll just ignore some of the logic, because some of the logic in this is weird. And we get a little more of Artha's backstory. His mom, it looked like his mom was kind of abandoning him because of some weird stuff. You get that backstory later. It turns out, when Artha and Mio were kids, he freaked out or something happened that they're very vague with this. They didn't actually explain. They pretty much didn't explain Artha's past. They just kind of gloss over it and mention it a little bit, which is another part that could have been fleshed out. So much in this movie. This is why a movie shouldn't be so short. No movie should be less than 2 hours. But yeah, Artha somehow sent him and Mio, I guess, to the other side, and his dad tried to bring him back, but in the process of doing so, his dad died. And then from then on, Artha was banned from using his powers. His mom separated him from the rest of the family, so he wouldn't learn all that stuff. But it turns out he runs into his aunt and ends up doing it anyways. And then all of a sudden, Artha passes out, and it's like, did he just die too, or is he having an out-of-body experience? No, he just suddenly went into astral projecting. And then we go back. Then we're back to Mia. So she can't remember what she forgot, and the counter that's you think would help her with that doesn't. So then Gibbon suggests they go to the Mother Goddess, which is some old woman at a snack stand or whatever that Mio used to go to a lot as a kid, and it was someone she knew named Mrs. Mori. I don't know. This is another thing. It's like, is this someone we knew from earlier that I just missed? I don't think so, because you would think this person would be dead if they're in the other side, but she definitely recognizes them. And no, it's just, this is like the Mother Goddess, and it's like she pictures Mrs. Mori because that's just how her mind is picturing her. It's her world, kind of. And the snack stand is weird. And then she's like, okay, well, if you need to, behind this door where you used to go and cry a lot is where you have to face all your fears. And this is actually one of the cooler moments in the movie, seeing her go face her fears, kind of not really trippy, but it's more the emotional part. And like most of it was just like, oh, actually it does lead to a good lesson, but most of it is like her just giving up on trying. And that's a big takeaway from this. Something I actually was like, I get this. I actually really identify with this, like giving up on trying. It's like, I think about this a lot. It's like, how hard do I actually try any of the things I do? And it's kind of like with Mio, she doesn't really try anything. She kind of just does whatever. And it goes, the reason why she does that is like, she liked to sing, but she'll get nervous, and then people make fun of her for voice crack. And it's like, then she was made to do ballet, but then she sucked at it and never got better, and all this stuff. And it's like she just gave up on trying, and that's why she was okay with Monaco going after Artha, even though it didn't play out anyways. And it's like, dang, yeah, I can see that. That's actually one of the good points of this. It's not, don't give up on trying. Always try hard, because reasons. Did I actually give a reason why she should keep trying? The more that this movie actually may not have hit home at all. Maybe it did. Maybe because this is the one time when it's literally is life or death. It's her continuing to try to get her memory back in order to go back to being alive. So I guess that's it. Don't give up on trying. Just keep trying, and then you won't die. Maybe is a very important term to include in there. Yeah, so that's the moral of it. And then, to make that weirder, she just sings. She has a musical number. I don't know why. It's random. Like, yeah, okay, she likes to sing. She mentions at one point there's a song her mom liked to sing. And instead of just the music playing in the background or having a memory of her mom singing, she just starts singing. She has like a whole musical number. It's not even like a few lines or something. She sings for a little while. For a little bit. Maybe like half a song. Maybe a full song. I don't know. This movie. It was... I said it was like moment to moment to moment. And the more I think about it, the more I talk about it. I'm right. It makes no sense how the flow and pace of this movie goes. Because it doesn't feel fast paced. It's not slow. But it's like... you're just doing the next thing. But it works. She conquers her fears. She kind of remembers that she needed to tell Artha something. Kind of remembers. It seems like she remembers that she has feelings for him. But then she goes back to the counter. And she gets the ticket. And she's able to leave. Or she thinks she's able to leave. And she's like, I have something important. She needs to tell him. Never says what the thing is, but she knows she has feelings for him. And this is the part where it kind of, to me, it just gets dumb, because my throat's getting dry from talking all this. It's just, she tries to leave on the, what do you call it, the train. It suddenly stops, and it's like, okay, she walks, ends up back in the same Ikarubuko she just left. They had this like almost a touching moment of her leaving. And she's saying bye to Mrs. Mori, saying she'll miss Gimon, and Kiku apologizing for never remember who she is. And then she's just right back, and they're just like, oh, okay. Yep. It's like they expected it too, but it's like, what was the point? What was the point of all this? She just ends up right back, and it turns out the reason she couldn't go is because she still couldn't remember exactly what she was wanting to say to him. And maybe there was more, and I'm just glossing over it. But yeah, and then Gimon, it's like, hey, okay, let's go back to Mrs. Mori, and they could just go right back, like no problem. And the back and forth of it, it's just like, okay, back to Mrs. Mori, back to the counter, and it's like, and that's how it just goes on for a few more rounds. And she's trying to remember. I get it. It's all about continuing to keep trying. But yeah, it did get old. Even for a movie that's so short, it was like, I get it. Move on. Like, have something happen. And then something eventually happens. Requiem shows up. Starts telling her to give up. And this whole time, I was suspicious of Gimon. And Requiem shows up. Pretty much does the exact same thing Gimon was telling her. And it's like, but it turns out they weren't in cahoots at all. They weren't working together. They just I don't know, a plot hole maybe. He was just wanting her to move on. Also, it's not like he really wanted anything from her. But then he turns into like this big spider thing, or like an eight-legged freak. Doesn't really look like a spider, but there was like random spiders that they were kind of allude to in like the corners of a screen or something. It's like, oh, some kind of spider thing's going to show up, and I guess this was it. Okay, and then he's, I guess, trying to attack Mio for some reason. Gimon actually starts fighting with them and getting on. And this is another cool part. Finally, some action and stuff. Also, it's kind of is the trippy stuff and stuff going on and getting weird. And she's running away. And then Key, her goldfish that died. Remember, it turned out it was important. Shows up all big, and she starts riding him to safety. And it's like, okay. And then it turns out, big reveal, Kiku was actually the goldfish the whole time. And that's why they had such a strong connection. That's honestly the stupidest part of this whole movie. And it's like, oh, because I was in water, I thought you were saying Kiku, not Key. I was like, that's so stupid. That's such a dumb, underwhelming explanation for any of this. I would rather you not say anything. So yeah, even though I was thinking it was some kind of relative of Artha's, it turns out it had nothing to do with it. It was just goldfish, I guess. Well, actually, it still is connected to Artha, because then eventually she starts having some memories of a festival, and Artha caught the goldfish in one of those little games. It looks like he cheated. The one where you have like a little circular screen and you're supposed to like scoop up the goldfish and whatever. It looked like he used the plastic part of it, not the actual screen part, and then scooped it up in the air. And then that's where Key came from. He's like, okay, and that was kind of their connection, I guess. And it was an important thing. And yeah, I mean, Mio loved her goldfish. I don't blame him. It looked like a cute goldfish. But then what also becomes important is Artha was told her something at that festival, and she just couldn't remember what he was saying. He even shows her him trying to say it, but it's like he's only mouthing it. There's no sound coming out. And I'm like, okay, so now she's kind of piecing it together. Like she knows the important moment. And I might be mixing some of this stuff up, but I'm just going along with it. And then Artha, real Artha, astral projection Artha, shows up and kind of saves her again, just out of nowhere. Like there was between him passing out and it looked like it's starting astral project, there was no other trace of him. He just suddenly saving Mio now. And then it seems like they're finally going to figure things out, going to get her out of there. But before anything even happened, his aunt pulls him right back out. And it's like, what's the point? And then that's actually the time he learns about his past and all that stuff. And it's like, well, a lot of this just seems so pointless. It's like, okay. And then Rec Room shows back up. And it's like, okay, gotcha. Time to move on now. And she's like, no, I need to remember a thing. And it's like, fine, fuck it. And she goes off, ends up at a hospital. And then Artha ends up in a hospital in the human realm. And they're still trying to remember. And you think he's getting close. And I'm getting some of the times, because it goes back and forth so much, I forget what happens. I'm just going to go ahead and get to the part now. The thing Artha was telling Mio at that festival is that he was in love with her. And she just pretended that she didn't hear. Like this whole time, the thing she was wanting to say to him, he already said it to her. And so now, it turns out the real moral of this movie is don't play so hard to get when you don't have to. Or maybe she just didn't want to face her true feelings. Maybe being in a relationship seemed hard to her. Who knows the real reason? Because I don't think he ever says why she just ignored him. Maybe it's because she didn't want to try, and that was it. That's just what they're sticking with. It's like, don't try so hard, or don't play hard to get. Try hard. That's the point. but don't play hard to get. I don't get it. It was weird. It's like, she's just like, yeah, I don't. And then at the hospital, she still can't remember. She's trying to get his attention. He can kind of sense that she's there, and you think she's about to finally tell him so that he will know she's there for sure. And still can't say it. It's just going on. And like, this movie is too short for it to keep happening this many times. I don't know. Maybe it's good that it wasn't 2 hours long. Because another half hour of this, I imagine if they didn't flesh out the other stuff, but they just kept doing this back and forth, then that would be terrible. They should have fleshed out all the other stuff. It would have made more sense. Flesh out more of the drama before she died. Show more of these people that she's seeing in the world border and all this stuff. It's like, dang, okay. And then her in real life, her bracelet that she's wearing breaks. Her aunt, Artha's aunt's like, does this make any sense? Does this give you any clues about a special place to her? And he's like, oh. And I was also thinking, is this bracelet what helped her hang on as long as she did? Thinking if these are like spiritual people who can like astral project and do psychic stuff like this, it looked like one of those like bead bracelets or spiritual beads that you would see like old timey exorcists use or whatever. And it's like, this looked like a miniature version of that, and so maybe that was helping her to stay on. That's what helped her. But anyways, they end up going to a cliff for some reason, even though it never hints at it. Mio also ends up going to that cliff. Some of the stuff doesn't make sense. Coincidence? Maybe it wasn't important. Maybe because she finally gave up and she was like, okay, I'm just going to accept it now. But then she gets there, she sees Requiem back as a human again, and she actually sees Mother Goddess, and they're both just like, okay, you understand what's going on? You're actually going to die. They finally show her like why she got in a car wreck, and it's like it's almost like they made it seem like she actually was in a car wreck, like it was supposed to be some mystery. But it's like, no, we knew it was a car wreck because they made it seem like a huge reveal to her, and she's just like, oh, I'm going to die. And it's like, okay, yeah, I guess so. This whole thing about Kiku being like, it's not your time yet, which I guess technically it wasn't, but Gimon being like, okay, actually it is. It was so much back and forth. I don't know how many times. I feel like I'm just going to get tired of seeing it. I feel like I'm wearing my voice out just saying that part so much. But then she's like, no, I remember what I want to say now. And she remembers being friends with Madoka. And actually, if it turned out like the thing wasn't just telling Artha that she loved him, but also telling Madoka that she also loved Artha. It wasn't just had anything to do with Artha. It also had to do with keeping their friendship, the three of them together. And that was the important part. Maybe the love thing wasn't even doing it, but it was part of it. But it was like just admitting the truth of how she was actually feeling. It wasn't just that she was in love. It was also that she was in love and wanted to be friends, and she didn't want Monica to have him. It was weird, but she's like, no. And she's like, that's not the door that's going to lead me to where I want to go. And it disappears, and they're like, okay, I guess if that's what you think. They disappear, door disappears, and she just runs off a cliff. And then Artha shows up with her real body. And then eventually, just by the end, she wakes up, she's all fine, and they're just together. I'll make this movie sound ridiculous, and it kind of is. But I don't want it to sound bad. It's definitely worth watching. There are cool moments, but it's just like the back and forth just almost kills the momentum it could have had. They spent too much time on that, and then not enough time on a lot of other stuff. Like, I felt like there should have been another whole chunk of the movie before she dies, and they just get to it so quick. And I get it, because like, get onto the actual, spiritual death part and all that. But I feel like there just should have been more. maybe it's me just being spiteful that it was only an hour and a half when I want 2 hour movies at least, preferably 3 hour movies. Could this have done 3 hours? Maybe not that long. Or maybe it'll be completely possible that they could have done 3 hours. Who knows? But yeah, and that's pretty much the movie. The main plot of it. Like I said, I didn't want to have to go through the whole thing, but there wasn't really that much else to talk about because they gloss over so much. They gloss over Artha's backstory. You kind of have to piece it together. They mention stuff, but not enough. Not enough to satisfy your curiosity. You pretty much get almost no backstory of Mio besides just being friends. It's like, yeah, you get the little like fears part, or when she was facing those, but besides that, you get no backstory. And like I said, Vodka plays almost no part in it. Really, you get more of the story, and the thing that just completely makes the whole thing seem dumb is there are mid-credit scenes. Oh, and it's just to show what was happening after, and what it shows her being fine. I guess things going back to normal, and then the part that gets me, okay, it shows her. I guess assuming because it's not like you can hear her talking. It's just like pictures and stuff showing her. I guess telling Monica how she really feels, and they're all fine with it. Then, a couple of images later, almost immediately, it shows Monica with another guy. It's like, what the fuck? Really? So soon? It's like, yeah. And it's like, see, Mio, I guess it's either saying Mio had nothing to worry about, Monica easily found someone else, or it's like, Monica didn't give a shit either way. She was just doing this. So it's like, what's going on? And it's like, okay. Only other important thing it really shows I can remember is Key. I assuming Key was still alive also. Pretty sure, because it looks like she was fine, unless it's a different goldfish. And yeah, and that's a credit scene. I'm pretty sure there were more. And I just forgot them because they just didn't matter. Got nothing else about Mrs. Mori. We see that Gimon is on a keychain or something. Keeps that with her. I thought there was something else. There probably was something else I'm just forgetting. But it's worth a watch. Like I said, it's only an hour and a half long. If you haven't seen it yet, well, I told you the whole movie. Now, anyways, maybe ignore that part and just happen to skip to this part. It is worth watching. Regardless of what I said, it's still, like most anime films, it's still visually appealing, and that's worth watching. And I feel like there is good lessons in this, and they really drive the keep trying part in. Because, yeah, she was kind of just a slacker. In the beginning, she was, like, oversleeping because she stayed up late doing, I don't know what. It doesn't say what she was doing, but she wasn't doing her homework. And they kind of just nail that and drive in that. So, yeah, just keep trying. Whatever you're doing, and I remember this for myself, too. Just keep trying. I'm going to keep trying to do this podcast. Everything I do seems to start off slow. And I don't really know how they turn out because I guess I never kept trying hard enough. I mean, I kept trying. I was in college for 9 years. I definitely kept trying. I got degrees and did school since I was 3 until I was 27. So that was like, dang. So I definitely try. But I could always try harder. Remember, you can always try harder. And even if you're not good enough, at least you can say you tried. But then still remember you weren't good enough. And there's people out there who try a lot less and probably have more money and just a lot more connections with you. And they don't have to try. And they're going to get a lot more than you. So, what was the moral of this story? Oh, of me going off. Yeah, keep trying, even though you're most likely going to fail. That's why you try and do stuff you like doing. So when you fail, it's not actually failure. It's not failure if you're doing what you want to do. It's only failing if you stop trying. Right? I should probably cut out all that negative stuff. But I'm not going to. Because one, it's how I really feel. And two, I think it's kind of funny. It's not funny. I think it's funny. It amuses me. So what else? If I, what else was there in this movie that I even bothered to talk about? I took notes. I actually did take notes just to make sure I remembered anything, and now I'm just like, there's no reason to take any of those. I don't think I actually even looked at any of this stuff the entire time. Even if you saw me looking around, it wasn't at these notes. It was just me being so over, like, all this stuff. Oh, actually, I just see a note here. Going back to Mio's musical number, it seemed like it was a completely different person that was singing, and it threw me off for a bit. I was like, yeah, when you sing, you can sing a whole lot differently than how you talk. Unfortunately, that's not my case because as much as I hate country music, the only thing that fits my voice is fucking country music, and it's sickening. Really, I hate it, but that's the only thing I can do. But yeah, it seemed like the actor for her singing was different, and that threw me off. And I was like, maybe it wasn't though. But it's just such a different change, and the music came out of nowhere. It was just caught me by surprise. But I don't know, this is another weird thing. It's like I don't know if I have a favorite character in this. Maybe Kiko or Key, just because animals will always be like number one in my heart when it comes to picking favorites and stuff like that. But it was so stupid. It was like to use an excuse. I mean, it's a fish, so it probably doesn't understand what you're saying, anyways. But use an excuse that it's in water. It's like, okay, that's dumb. What's the point of the name? It was just like, here's a little mystery, but it's going to turn out to be dumb. It's like, okay, well, then don't do it in the first place. Whatever. I don't know. There's just random stuff. So I don't really have a favorite character. Favorite scene would kind of, it would be, I guess it would be Mio riding on Giant Key, just because it's cool. Thinking of riding on a goldfish through a city. I don't know. The action, I guess, was pretty cool. Seeing Rec Room as a giant spiral-like thing was neat. There's a part where Gimon makes a portal in his mouth and gets Mio to go through it. I don't know. There's just random weird stuff in it that wasn't too off-putting, but it was just like, huh, okay, you're doing this. Just like every single moment is like, okay, this is a new moment. You're doing this moment now. Okay. But I guess that's it. That's really all I got to say. All I really need to say about it. I will say watch it. It's worth a watch. It's only an hour and a half. It's on Crunchyroll. I don't know what kind of reviews it got. I looked through the comment section a little bit. It was mostly positive from what I could tell. People seem to get a lot more emotional about it than I did. I don't know why. But I don't know. I try not to look through that kind of stuff. But, you know, curiosity and stuff. Just to see how people react to it. But yeah, I guess it got generally positive reviews. I didn't look at like actual other critic reviews, so I guess I won't know what those were. But I would say it's an okay movie. Out of 10 coffee, Skyy, vodkas, I would give it a 6.5. Because I can't say 7. 7 seems like it's still an okay, like a decently good movie. But I feel like it was almost there. Just weird pacing, not fleshed out enough. But I don't want to say 6 because 6 seems silent. So I'm going to say 6.5. Skyy, coffee, vodkas. I don't think I generally give ratings at all like that. Not numerical-ish ratings, but I guess I'm doing it for this one. Going back to the Skyy vodka, the coffee, I'm surprised it's completely clear. I would think it have at least a little tint to it. Completely not about the movie anymore, but talking about what I'm drinking. Yeah, weird that it doesn't do anything else. Also weird that it's good. I'm ashamed. I don't know why I'd be ashamed of that. Surprising. I will say I enjoy my drink more than I enjoy the movie. So out of 10 over the Skyy for rating this coffee Skyy vodka. I don't know how that works. I would give it a I'd give it a 9, solid 9. But since that doesn't make any sense, because if Over the Sky is less Skyy vodkas than the Skyy vodka is of Over the Skies, I'm not getting into it. That's me being stupid. That's going to be it for me talking about Over the Sky. Because otherwise I'm going to ramble and say stupid stuff. This is what happens when I do recordings by myself. I just ramble and say a bunch of stupid shit until, I don't know, my voice gives out. I don't know, I try to keep it in a timely manner, but I can never do stuff like that. So yeah, let's get down to the other plugin business. It's not plugin, it's my own podcast. Yeah, let me know what you thought, if you want to, about if you've seen the movie, if you agree, disagree, all that other kind of stuff. I'm glad I did this as like a Twitch stream recording, just to see kind of what it'd be like, how I would act knowing it is live, in case anybody watched it or listened to it and all that kind of stuff. I feel like it's still pretty much the same. When I edit these, it's hardly anything I do. I pretty much do it exactly how I talk and say it. So unless I have to pause or do something, and that's the only thing different, is I can't pause. I mean, I can pause a live stream, but I don't want to, because I don't know if you know this, alcohol not the most hydrating. So once my throat starts getting a little rough, that's kind of a little annoying. But yeah, if you liked it, go ahead and give it a like on whatever platform you can. You can also follow whatever platform you can. You can follow me on my social medias. It's the AC Stories, along everything on Twitter, Facebook, the AC Stories, Instagram, the_AC_stories. My Twitch, the AC Stories. Go and follow that. Then you can see. I won't do all my podcast recordings live on Twitch. Maybe the ones I do solo I will, just because that's a lot easier. If I have other people, I'll probably just do that between the two of us, unless they want to do it live. I don't know if anyone would want to do that. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitch, play a lot of variety of games and stuff like that. But yeah, go ahead, like, subscribe, follow, comment, all that stuff. If you want to, one thing if you have Skyy themed drinks you want to share with me, you can also either find me on all those social medias. You can also email me at theacstories@gmail.com, and yeah, just tell me all that kind of stuff. It'll be cool. But yeah, that is it for this alcohol and anime. Thank you so much. I'm the AC, and bye.